Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 5th edition of the Alabama Crimson Tide call-in show live from Alabama at the Voice of College Football, and it's also simulcast on the Voice of College Football X account. So I'm yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and I got my partner in crime, Jeffrey at Only Taught Sports, where let's just say we will be talking quite a lot about the Alabama Crimson Tide, or at least we'll try to.
Absolutely, Jackson. I appreciate it. I'm doing great tonight. Hope you're doing great as well. And cannot wait to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide tonight and what is their most important game the rest of the season. Because no matter what happens, especially with a loss, it deems all those other games meaningless to Alabama fans. Now, to us, we're still going to watch the games. You know, we're still going to check out Alabama football the rest of the season, and even a 9-3 finish, it's not terrible, right? But for Bama faithful, it's awful. They want championships. They've been spoiled by Nick Saban. We've been spoiled by Nick Saban. So not making a 12-team playoff when we've basically made a 14 playoff every year, basically for the most part, and now to miss a 12-team playoff would just be disastrous. But this game is going to determine the rest of this season. And obviously they could, beat LSU and then lose one of their final few games, and that would still destroy their season. But realistically, this is the game that they have the best chance to lose the rest of the way. So definitely going to be interesting. It's a toss-up game, and it's a game they have to have. With Bama's back against the wall, can they get it done? Definitely looking forward to it. But glad to be doing the show tonight. Hopefully we get a lot of people calling in. We want your takes. We want to hear what you guys have to say about Alabama or LSU or SEC football in general, whatever you want to talk about. But I'm sure it's about Alabama. That's why you guys are here.
Here we go. And we got our first caller of tonight, Will and D, the star co-host of the College Football Recap preview show with our very own Jeffrey at Only Taught Sports. Will and D, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Will.
I'm doing good, man. Kane Womack. You want to save your job, Kane Womack? You need to have them boys ready. All right? Ready in Death Valley against Garrett Nussmeier, against Kyron Lacey. You need to have your boys ready to go. Okay? The whole world wants to see Brian Kelly miserable after...
I know I do.
They want to have that tiger, that live tiger they're bringing to Death Valley. They want him chasing after Kelly. Kelly running his fat belly all around, trying to save himself from the tiger that the fans are throwing at him after another no playoff season for LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we all want to see. Get it done.
We know Will wants to see it. We know
Jalen Mill. We know Jalen Milroe is going to be making some plays, and at least keeping Bama in this game. Like him and Ryan Williams, they're gonna have touchdowns. This LSU defense, it's better, but it's not that good. It's just, can you get any stops? Well, enough stops against Garrett Nussmeier and Kyron Lacey to get the win.
They got to force turnovers from Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
They got to get a couple picks. If they force him into a couple picks, there's a really good chance Alabama can win, even in Death Valley. But if Garrett Nussmeier does not have any turnovers, then that's probably not boding well for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And plus, LSU's defense is just a horrific disaster because they're 48th in the nation rushing defense, 86th in the passing game. Tied 40th in the red zone, 79th in third down defense, and 54th in points allowed.
And that's better than last year.
It's better than last year, yeah.
I mean, their defense last year was atrocious. I mean, they were lucky to have Jaden Daniels last year because if not, they'd have had
they would have missed a bowl.
And Brian Kelly would have probably been fired or close to it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially because they got lucky against Wisconsin last year, and it was like they didn't have Jaden Daniels in that game. Imagine if they had lost the bowl game to Wisconsin last year.
It would have looked terrible. And at least for LSU, I mean, it did show that Garrett Nussmeier was capable. That's why he ended up being the starting quarterback this season. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, I don't
He's
really know what
decent.
people were expecting coming into this year because, I mean, there was a lot of controversy with LSU. Like, were they going to get another quarterback? They were looking at guys. But Nussmeier's been good enough. He's very inconsistent, and his
The
completion percentage is
problem, the
terrible,
thing that
but
makes
he's not been horrible.
Nussmeier, the thing that hurts Nussmeier is they can't really run the ball. They're a
No.
one-dimensional offense.
I felt like that was the issue Milroe was having this year as
Yeah.
well until finally last week against Missouri, or 2 weeks ago, rather, against Missouri. In their last game, Alabama actually ran the football. Like, when you have a running game to complement the quarterback, it takes so much pressure off the quarterback. We all know that. And that's why, like, we've seen with teams like Indiana this year, Curtis Rourke, he's doing great, but they got a run game in Indiana, and that's what's helped take the pressure off of them. It's the only reason they beat Washington, because Taven Jackson wasn't very good. But Alabama, I mean, Jalen Milroe, he's really good, and he can do a lot, but he can't do it all, like Jaden Daniels did for LSU last year. And even still, Jaden Daniels lost games. He couldn't win them all for him, because if you can't stop anybody, you can't score every play.
And we proved ourselves. Like, the running game was a lot better against Missouri than it was in past several games. You yourself, Jeffrey, had cited a few weeks back on this very stage that we needed to get the running game up, and we did. If we do that against LSU, that is key to victory right there.
And I think they can do it. I mean, like you said, LSU's rush defense, it's better than their pass defense, but it's still not elite. I think Bama can run the ball, but it's whether Alabama is committed to running the ball, especially if they're behind. Like, if they're down by 7 or 10 at any point in the game, are they just going to abandon the run and just go full in passing every play? And if they do that, that's not good. Probably still need to try to run the ball some, even if you're down 7 or 10 earlier on in the game anyway. Obviously, if you're in the fourth quarter and you're down 7 with 2 minutes left, you got to throw. But you can't abandon the run even if you're down 7 to 10 points in like the second quarter. You still shouldn't do that.
Jackson, what are your thoughts on Auburn losing to Vanderbilt by more than Alabama did at home?
Oh, the fact that Vanderbilt beat Auburn at Auburn for the first time in school history. I really thought to myself that Auburn Nation is not going to be too happy with Hugh Freeze. And I've been really impressed with the job that Diego Pavia has done at Vanderbilt. And I know everybody's talking about Clark Lee, but there's one name nobody's really talking about. Offensive consultant Jerry Kill.
Jerry Kill is the reason that Diego Pavia is having a good season, because they already have that connection. I mean, if that wasn't there, there's no way they're, even with Pavia, that they'd be having as good of a year as they're having. You have to have the mastermind that's behind the success. And a lot of times, a guy like that, having that connection can really help go over the top. I don't think Clark Lee's bad, but he was in trouble. Like, he was in legitimate trouble of getting fired, like all the other Vandy coaches recently, like Derek Mason, because they weren't winning. Last year they were terrible. But I agree with you, Jackson. Definitely Jerry Kill is what people should be focusing on. Clark Lee deserves some credit, but Jerry Kill deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, and I mean, Clark Lee deserves credit for like getting Jerry Kill to go to Vanderbilt. Like, absolutely. No one wants to go to Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also, the real test for Clark Lee next year is going to be like if we don't see Jerry Kill on that staff.
He said like every team's going to be different because they're just going to get transfer portal guys that they know, because they don't want to develop guys that are just going to leave to other teams. So they're just going to get other teams scraps.
To be consistent, like we've seen with Florida State. I think you're going to see a lot of teams now that everybody's basically having to focus on the portal. Or one year you go like 9-3, and then the next year you go 4-8, and then the next year you go 8-4, next year you go 5-7. It's gonna be a lot of inconsistent teams. These mid-tier teams, like even Indiana, even with Kurt Cignetti, if he stays, they're not going to be doing this every year. It's not going to happen. You're going to have some up and downs, because you're not going to always get the same type of quality of player that hits every single time with your team. You're going to have some down years. So I do think that should make some teams more lenient to not fire their coach. I do think that's the case. But I mean, if they're having 3 years in a row of terrible play, then you got to let them go. But there is going to be some inconsistencies. I mean, because Florida State, the drop off we've seen from Florida State it's just so unprecedented. Like everyone keeps like talking about Notre Dame that year back in 07 or whatever. This isn't even that. This is worse. Florida State is just completely fallen off the edge of the earth from last season. They are so unrecognizable. And the thing is, they have guys that are still on the 3rd round and 4th round for the draft, which is funny, but they suck.
I'm glad.
I mean, the reason that Notre Dame team sucked is because Tyrone Willingham just did not recruit. He didn't give a hoot about recruiting. So, like Mark Sanchez was interested in Notre Dame, but Tyrone Willingham was playing golf, and he's like, "No, I don't want to get off the golf course to see this guy who's been visiting our school. I'm going to finish my round of golf." What the heck?
Yeah, if you do that, then you do not need to be coaching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that explains why he not only failed at Notre Dame but failed at Washington.
Yeah, he had an 0-12 year at Washington. Yeah, after Notre Dame.
Man, you have to be really bad to go 0-12. I don't care who you are.
But what do you guys think about Billy Napier getting his job saved for another year?
Florida fans are that. I'm happy.
Florida
about
fans
that.
on Twitter are so mad, man. They're so mad on Twitter, Florida fans. But you're happy, of course.
Netty's not going there, man. So you're good. Keep him. I agree with you, Will. It's brutal. They're going crazy online. I mean, the thing is that to be fair, they've looked better this year. They're going to struggle the rest of the season because no Lagway and their schedule's brutal. But if they get Lagway back next year and most of their team is freshmen and sophomores and they all stay, there is a shot they're better next year. And
but
plus,
if that's an if
the schedule's going to be this hard. But
that's a big if. Yeah,
I do think though. I do think that's why the AD already announced that they're keeping him though, so those players will stay.
Mm-hmm. And they also have no president right now with their school, so it's tough.
Oh man,
they're a dumpster fire, man. They're a dumpster fire.
Oh, Austin, he's a Billy fan. Hey,
fan. Austin, you said they were gonna go 8-4. I'm still waiting for that. Okay, I'm still waiting for that.
It could technically still happen. That's
it could still happen, man. It could still happen. They needed to beat Georgia, though. They needed to beat Georgia.
I mean, all you really have to do for rivalry week is figure out where's Florida State gonna go. Oh, just put it on Disney Plus or put it on there.
Yeah.
We're not.
The thing is think about how close they were, though, right? I mean, they almost beat Tennessee. And then if Lagway doesn't go down, they had a shot against Georgia. Imagine if they did win both those games. They'd be 6-2 right now.
That's the funny part right there. It's oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But I wonder how long Arkansas is going to have Sam Pittman. I know I talked with Carter Bryant yesterday. We talked a little bit about whether we could see Sam Pittman stay on after this year, if he's getting fired or if he's retiring.
I mean, that win against Tennessee helps, and the fact that Taylon Green's hurt, they may be more lenient on him. If he's out.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that Tennessee win was a job-saving win.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
just like PJ Fleck.
Like, we've seen a lot of coaches save their job.
Yeah, PJ Fleck and Mike Locksley both against USC.
Definitely. Locksley, that was huge for him. Fleck saved his job. Beamer saved his job. Aranda is saving his job as we speak. Pittman kind of has saved his job. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of coaches have fought themselves off the brink. I mean, Hugh Freeze is creeping up. Hugh Freeze come out of nowhere. Like he's in big trouble. He's probably passed all the guys that I just said.
Him and Neil Brown, right? Neil Brown, of course.
Neil Brown, he's the only guy that cannot save his job. The only reason he's still there is because West Virginia just won't get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, the Mountaineers, they're going to have to decide whether they want to be a contender or they just want to be a bowl team.
Yeah, I mean, do you think so?
Could be a contender.
They could get destroyed by Brandon Sorsby. We'll see how they do against them this week.
Yeah, Cincinnati's been surprising this season.
Yeah.
Sorsby's not bad. I mean, he's
cooked for them, man. He's been good.
Been good. If they had a better offense around him last year, they could have been good. He was not bad. He's not a bad player.
He's just kind of a statue in the pocket, but that's the one thing. But he's good when he has protection. He's kind of
But
like
see,
Garrett
Indiana did-
Nussmeier, similar to Garrett Nussmeier, honestly.
I think the question will be for Scott Satterfield is, can he top the season that he's having this year next season?
We'll
Because
see.
yeah, I mean, it looks like a big we'll see move, because I'm not really liking the future that Cincinnati's hoping to have. Because if they're hoping to get to the Big 12 title or go to the playoffs at least once every 3 years, they're not going to get it with Satterfield. And
yeah, I mean, the thing is that in the Big 12 and the ACC, you cannot really, you don't have to be a great team to win games. I mean, like Duke this year is not great, but they're 6-3. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, so you're going to have teams like Cincinnati have decent years in the Big 12, despite the fact that they're not a great team. I mean, really, a lot of these teams like TCU, Baylor, Cincinnati, none of them are very good, but somebody's got to win. Like Oklahoma State's down, so some team fills that void.
What a downfall.
That's why West Virginia should be a contender in the Big 12. They should be able to compete at the top of the Big 12. Being 500 in this Big 12 is sad. This is not even hard. Like, they should easily be 8-4, 9-3, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State has just been a disaster this season. I mean,
They're
straight
surprisingly bad.
I mean, I had them in the top 10 as potential disappointments on The Voice College Football. I don't think any of us thought they'd be this bad.
I mean, they're really happy that Florida State's this bad, so that shines the light away from them. They gotta be sending roses to Mike Norvell.
Florida State is either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just they are a horrible disaster. I mean, Oklahoma State, TCU, that's going to be a fun one for college football sickos like us, of course.
Yeah. Now I flip channels, so I'll definitely see some of it. That's one of my favorite parts about college football is just having like 15 games on at the same time, where you can just flip through all the channels. Like, it catch a little bit of each game. I obviously have my main attention on like the bigger games if they're close.
I wish you know what would be $1 million idea.
What's that?
NFL Red Zone for college football.
Yes.
That would work. That would work.
Let's go.
We got.
Mark, I hope you're watching this idea, because you're gonna want it, man. There we go. College football Red Zone. Love it.
Then they'll do it for college basketball.
Well, I mean, like, I love it that college basketball for March Madness, like since 2011, they've had all their games on 4 networks instead of just one network, depending on your location. The NFL needs to learn from March Madness.
That's what makes March Madness fun, right? Like, people like being able to, I'm watching this game, but this game's going down to the wire, and you get that flash at the top of the screen. It's like, this is an upset alert, and you go over there and watch the rest of that game, and then you go back. That's what makes it fun, keeping up with multiple games. That's why my favorite time's the round of 64. Like, I like the further you go, because you're getting closer to the championship, and the games are, typically better because it's, likewise teams that are all really good that are continuing to win. But that round of 64 at first, when you got all the games on at the same time, it is just fun to flip through the games. I love it.
Yeah,
agreed.
Except if you're Kyle Neptune and you lose to Columbia.
Oh man, he's toast, man.
He's toast. He's toast. He is toast.
He's done. We talk about hot seat in college basketball. Kyle Neptune.
I can't believe they hired him, man. He had so Fordham was a bottom feeder in the A10, and he got to have him in the middle for 1 year, and then he gives them the job. I'm like, that's all you need to be the coach at Villanova, man.
That's
I mean, I didn't really question the hire when it happened, because it was like, anybody was going to be worse than Jay Wright, but in hindsight, it's not looking that good.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, you won't need the phone number.
Parker, you can go in for me, man. I feel bad not being an Alabama fan.
You're good, man. You're good.
That's what the Alabama
you're always
calling
able to
show
call.
is
Same thing with
for.
Austin. Austin's like he doesn't want to call in because of the Alabama fans. Like if there's no one on Austin, you can come on, man. Like
Exactly, man. And just to got a little something to make sure we're going to tell the people about you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, oh, you're welcome. Subscribe to our good buddy Will and D, and follow him at Marcus_Era on @/Twitter, and give him a follow on Instagram threads at Klowski414. Tell your friends, your family,
boys.
the cashiers at Publix, the bag boys. Tell everybody at your local grocery store.
Be seeing you next week, Will. Hopefully for
there you go. Don't forget to tell the
for
cashiers
sure.
about the magic. Don't forget to tell everyone about the magic that these two create on the college football recap preview show on simulcast on Will's channel and on Jeffrey and Only Talk Sports.
Thanks, boys. Have a great rest of your show.
Appreciate it, Will. Have a good night.
We will keep it moving right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. We've got the call-in link. Oh, rats. I meant to put in call-in link. I'm just so excited about this conversation.
Maybe Parker, I don't know. Maybe Parker will call him, but maybe he has phone number because maybe he doesn't have StreamYard. That's a big thing. That's why you see like the USC show and some of the other shows where they have the phone line and you have like different callers. So maybe he doesn't have StreamYard. So maybe I don't know though. Or because you don't even have to have StreamYard, but maybe he doesn't have like an email to go through it. Because like that's how you have to call in when you have StreamYard. You have to have an email. So if you don't have that, Parker, sorry about that. Thank you for watching, though. Absolutely. But definitely appreciate being there. But yeah, that might be the reason he hasn't called in. It's because he maybe he has to do it through a phone number. But we got StreamYard, though. So if any of you guys in chat have an email through with StreamYard, Gmail, or whatever, definitely appreciate if you guys would call in. But yeah, definitely Will, for sure, man. It's hilarious talking about Auburn, man. They are a joke, legitimately. I don't say that about a lot of programs, but the thing that's so frustrating about Auburn, Jackson, is that Auburn can win. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Auburn can win. They have the fan base. They have Jordan Hare. They've got money, but they suck. I mean, they are horrible. I mean, everybody's making fun of the fact that Brian Harsin had a better record than now Hugh Freeze does, and they fired Brian Harsin. The thing is, I still don't understand why they fired Brian Harsin so fast, and everybody kept saying, "Well, he's from Boise. He doesn't have a connection to the South or whatever." And it's like, then why'd you hire him? like what was the point of hiring him if you gave him literally no shot? And then they were trying. You remember when they were trying to throw that allegation against him?
Oh yeah, where he was doing the mess around in the back room with the secretary.
I mean, that's a load of crap because literally they have a coach now that has been literally had allegations against him in the past, and Hugh Freeze that proven true.
He used the school phone to call hookers. Like, good God.
I mean, literally, not even his personal phone, right? Like the school phone. And I mean, literally, you've got him as your coach, but yet you tried to put that on Brian Harsin to get rid of him when he didn't even do that, which is ridiculous. Like, Auburn is a joke of a program. And I'm not even saying that because of Bama and they're the rivals. They are a joke of a program. Absolutely ridiculous. The irony and hypocrisy of the Brian Harsin to Hugh Freeze situation is unreal. It is absolutely unreal. I agree, Will. 100%. I agree. Thank you.
Here we go. And we got the co-host of the CFB After Dark show and a good buddy of the Voice of College Football Network, the one and only himself, Sean Garner. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Hey, Sean.
Oh, I'm doing good. I actually just popped on and I heard some bitching about Hugh Freeze and I couldn't resist but join in. I swear it's like it's probably like it was like a bat signal I get like, oh my God, people are talking shit about Hugh Freeze. Sean, come in. So yeah. I mean the Auburn fan base, Auburn right now. I feel kind of bad because I like Peyton Thorne. I thought he was a good quarterback at Michigan State. I think he's a good kid. So it kind of sucks to see him go through this turmoil. And I'm sure there are a lot of excellent people in the Auburn program and on that team, but my God, do I not enjoy watching the disarray they're in right now.
Oof.
I mean, it's you get what's coming to you in life a lot of the times. Not all the time, but a lot of the time.
You may not get it today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year, but karma comes for us all. Good, bad,
absolutely.
or ugly.
I mean, the thing is even as an Alabama fan, I don't even like seeing Auburn suck this bad. I don't. I mean, I would rather than be
makes
a
our strength of schedule look bad if they suck.
I'd rather than be good and be a competitive football team and make the Iron Bowl what it used to be, like up there with Michigan and Ohio State as the best, right? Like there was a time when Bama, Auburn, and Michigan, Ohio State were like this.
Yeah,
probably Michigan, Ohio State for most people would be better, but like Alabama, Auburn was legit.
Certainly the last few years, like even like last year when Alabama, Auburn had a big game, that was just a surprise. Like
Bama didn't play well. Like they should have.
The last 3 years, Ohio State, Michigan, like it's the most watched game of the season every year.
You know how we saw Ohio State, Michigan 11-0 going into the matchup for 2022 and 2023?
Yeah.
I want the Iron Bowl to be Alabama and Auburn, both unbeaten going into the Iron Bowl, kind of like how it was in 1971. That's what I want it to be like.
No, that'd be good.
Hey,
can we get back on the Hugh Freeze discussion for a second?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. But first, let's get to the super chat contribution from Rutgers host at The Voice of College Football, Adam Lamparello, who says, in loving memory, Indiana football, 1887 through November 23rd, 2024. In Cincinnati, we trusted, and in Columbus, we busted.
Honestly, you should just put the beginning of this season to now in loving memory, because I just forget all the previous stuff. They've been horrible.
But I would say if there's any good team to bust against, it's a team that's mascot is a nut. So,
but appreciate the super chat. We appreciate the super chat contribution, Adam, and don't forget to tell everybody about the magic that Adam is doing on Rutgers at The Voice of College Football, and also tune in after the Rutgers Minnesota postgame show for Adam giving his take on what's going on with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Win or lose, stay tuned. But you were talking a little bit about Hugh Freeze for a little bit.
So one of the things that I think has made him has earned him such a bad reputation among a lot of fans is not only the clearly illicit and illegal things he was doing at Ole Miss, but just sort of the sanctimoniousness, the self-righteousness he carried himself with. I mean, he's just out there, quoting the Bible and talking about reading from the Purpose-Driven Life or something in front of the camera and talking about, basically kind of trying to send the message. I'm just that holier than that thou. He does it, and then I said, okay, what part of the Bible did it talk about using school funds to buy hookers? Where was that?
I don't think you should be quoting that if you're doing stuff like that.
Why do I have a weird feeling that Hugh Freeze lectures young men about how they're not being nice to women, but then he's out cheating on his wife? Not using his own personal phone. No. It's not convenient for Mr. Freeze. No. He's not using the school phone to call them hookers. That's just things you don't do. And that's just so wrong.
It's there's certain things you can't do when you're on the company computer. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
That's wrong.
Well, a lot of times, I understand we're all flawed and stuff, and we're all going to fall short of our own standards unless we just don't have any standards, right? Unless but do you ever read any of that stuff that you're these values you're trying to instill in these men and think about how it applies to you? ever. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I always hate it when some people have like a rules for thee but not for me attitude. It's like that always
It's a double
rubs me the
standard.
wrong way.
It's a double standard.
Yeah, it's like double standards are always gonna rub me the wrong way.
Well, like
Yeah,
everybody
I mean-
should be held to the same standard. Everybody should be punished doing the same way when you do something wrong. The punishment should be the same. Not varied punishments. Whatever you do wrong, you're not supposed to. When you get in trouble, like everybody should get punished for. Like not this person over here because he has like a higher status or whatever, he gets away with it, whereas this person doesn't. Like that's unfair. Or whatever. I mean, just because Hugh Freeze has made a lot of money, he's been a successful football coach, does not mean that he's above, other people. And, when he's doing wrong things and then you're going to talk about values, it's hypocritical.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. And apparently they're kicking ass on the recruiting trail, though. So who knows how this is going to. How long their turmoil is going to last, or whether it will work out, or whether there'll be another Texas A&M.
That's the question
with this massive NIL program that they're rolling out.
Yeah, that's the question I've got for the Auburn Tigers as well. Is can it translate on the field?
Hey guys, I'm sorry. Is my lighting just terrible? Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, you're like it's a little dim, but we
dim. Okay. Let me see if I can adjust this real quick. Sure. All right.
There we go.
Am I pretty now? Okay.
We'll see how the audience reacts to that one, Sean.
Oh man, it's like this is why after dark shows are fun on Sunday nights. I mean,
oh yeah. When I can stay awake, I try to make them. They're always fun.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So, about Alabama. This is an Alabama show, I believe, right? Still.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask. I was listening to the college football nerds breakdown of this game today. And they said something quite interesting. They say, like, Milroe is a great athlete, but he's not a great runner. It's like if he can get the edge, he's just so fast. He's so explosive that he can get big chunk plays, but he's not going to do the little things in the running to maximize every carry. He's not very elusive.
Kind of like Donovan Edwards.
He's not a very strong runner, even though you would look at him. I mean, he's built so strong. You would think he'd be a stronger runner, but he just doesn't know how to kind of like go through contact or anything. And he's not real efficient in the zone read game. He makes a lot of, bad reads in the at the mesh point.
That's so frustrating when you got a guy like a quarterback and you have a wide open running lane and then they hand it off to the running back. That is one of those irritating things in football. Yep. It's like you could have ran for 30 yards. Instead, you give it to the running back. It's
like the unblocked end is crashing down. He's coming so hard. He's like a yard away from it. And if you pull, there's absolutely zero chance he's gonna get you. Mm-hmm. But then you still just hand it off. Yeah, that is. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I've seen Milroe hasn't run for a ton. He hasn't run a ton this year, and I was a little surprised by that. Last year in the Michigan game, especially in the second half, they were using him, in the power running game, and they were getting a lot of yards. They kind of dominated that game offensively in the second half last year. If it weren't for bad snaps, they probably would have won that game by like 10, 11 points. And
the bad snaps and then that fumble that Milroe had just completely ruined the game. I mean, Bama was in complete control. I mean, that's why I was still laughing when like Michigan fans were saying like they were dominant last year, which they were. Yeah. But they were dominant. This is the best team ever that that once. Like no, Bama literally was like a player or two away from winning the game.
Yeah,
and blew it on the final play. So, like Bama was there. They just blew it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's probably about like 6 or 7 plays that if any one of them would have gone differently for Bama, they probably win that game. But I'm not here to throw shade at Michigan. I'm not here to throw shade at Michigan. I'm talking about Bama exclusively. But do you think in order for them to be real effective running the ball, they need Milroe to be more of a part of the running game than he has been?
I would probably say yes. I mean, he was running the ball more earlier in the season, but now they're running him less. I mean, they didn't need it against Missouri because Missouri just played horrible and had no chance to win because they had no offense. So Bama actually ran the ball with Jam Miller and had some success. But I would probably say yes to an extent. I mean, I don't think he has to run all the time, but I do think if he ran a little bit more, and because it puts more pressure on the defense. I mean, we see like with the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson's ability to run the ball, and then you got Derrick Henry. It's very hard. It is very hard to stop both.
Yeah, I'm watching that right now here. My my Bengals have a 7 point.
There you go.
7-point lead. Got the ball in Ravens territory. So see if we can do anything here.
Oh man.
It's a big game for the Bengals. They want to be a playoff team.
Huge. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Hey, maybe we can pull like a little Kevin Harlan where we're talking a little bit about Alabama and talking about the Ravens Bengals at the same time. And we got another caller in the line with us, the host of Rutgers Scarlet Knights Live himself, Adam Lamparello from Rutgers at the Voice College Football, joining us. Now it's a 4-team party. How you doing tonight, man?
Right.
Oh, your speaker's off. Your speaker's off, Adam.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show. How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good.
Very good. Jackson's just giving me telling me all the best salons to go to in Huntsville here.
Yeah, I don't know any in Huntsville, but if you're ever in New York City, I have a perfect place for you to go to. It's great. They give you not only a great haircut, but they give you psychological counseling while they're doing it. And it costs a lot of money, but sure as hell it's worth it. I always feel happier when I leave.
So they work on your head.
No, they don't have that in Alabama.
Yes, I will introduce you to the lovely Chantal, who cuts your hair while she gives you inspiring advice about how to live your best life.
Yeah, so they work on your head inside and out, huh?
Yeah. Well said.
Yep. That feels like an only in New York or maybe LA kind of place.
You can find that anywhere else, man.
Oh man.
Grand Rapids is getting more cosmopolitan, but I don't think we're quite psychiatrist, barber,
Yeah, I mean, they start cutting your hair. It's a real fancy place. And then she asks you, so tell me what's going on. And then she says it in such an endearing way. You're like, oh, well, not so good. And then you get this great advice, and they give you some champagne. You walk out of there buzzed, happy, with a great haircut.
Oh, man. The Somalia, yeah.
Well, I'm not looking to get buzzed. I got to keep that head on straight.
Yeah.
Well, if you're there, if you're one of their clients, you're a good representative for them, Adam, because smart guy with a swaggy do here.
Thank you.
He's good.
Yeah, I don't think Sean could ever get his hair to look like Adam's. I don't.
No.
I probably can't either.
No. I'm too Jewish. It just curls too much. So.
But
I'm Italian, and us Italians tend to be rather blunt. So, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask you the important question of the night, and I'm curious about your response. On tonight's show, are you going to formally endorse Ty Simpson as the starting quarterback for Alabama and advocate that he needs to finally be given a chance?
I think Ty Simpson definitely deserves an opportunity next year. I want Jalen Milroe to stay the quarterback this year because I don't know if you can throw Ty Simpson in right now and he be able to win a game like this. I don't think so.
Is Ty Simpson a true freshman right now?
He was there last year.
Oh, okay. I knew he had to be. So yeah,
redshirt sophomore.
He's a redshirt sophomore.
Wow, he's been there. He was a high level recruit coming in too.
I know he's been there 2 years, but yeah, I think Adam's right on that. I think he might have been there 3 years.
So why has Milroe regressed so much? I mean, Milroe doesn't seem to be reading defenses. He doesn't want to run, but running is his best trait. He was terrible against Tennessee. Against South Carolina, he was average. What's going on with him?
They're trying to make him more like Michael Penix.
I think it's the coordinator. Coordinator. It's the different coaching style of this team versus last year. Because, I mean, he was in his peak form at the end of last season. I know he blew the Michigan game technically with the fumble in the playoff. But other than that, I mean, he was really playing well toward the end of the season last year. That's why he was close to being the Heisman winner. He was like 6th in the voting. And he started out this year really well, but he's regressing because I feel like teams have figured out what Bama is doing with him, and still they're not really using him to his strengths of what he's mostly capable of. I mean, to me, he's just not a guy who can stand in the pocket and break defenses down, looking downfield and throwing it to a receiver. He has to roll out. He has to be in motion to be more successful. I mean, he's not Cam Newton in any way, shape, or form, but like Cam Newton to me was better when he could use his legs. When he got older and couldn't run, then he was terrible. And Jalen Milroe can run, but like you said, he's not running. So he's having to throw every time. Bama's not running the football that much. He's just not a defense down type of quarterback in the pocket every single play. He's just not that guy. He's not Penix.
Well, Jeffrey,
that's a really good analysis.
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, you might recognize this too. When Penix was playing at Washington, like his last 2 years, I feel like nobody watched him for a second at Indiana because everyone said he was. Everyone said yes, you and me. Okay, we were the only two people watching Indiana football in 2019 and 2020. The entire college football world and all the draft pundits I listened to this year saying, he's pretty immobile. He really doesn't. He really can't move that much. And I'm like, you really never watched a second of him at Indiana, did you? Because
these are the same guys that watched Anthony Richardson and showed that one big play that he made. And they thought, oh, my God, Anthony Richardson's the future. You literally saw one play on ESPN. You didn't
see, Penix had to run at Indiana because the offensive line was garbage. And he was a pretty good runner. I mean, that 2-point conversion against Penn State will live on in infamy. But the thing with Penix, though, is that he suffered 2 ACL tears. So
and like a couple shoulder injuries too, right?
A couple shoulder injuries. So he to me chose to stop running as much. Yeah. And plus, when he was at Washington, he didn't have to run as much. But the reason why I say chose is because when he was at Indiana in 2021, the last season he was there, and he was really struggling because I think he came back too early from that ACL. He wasn't running at all. Yeah. He wasn't running whatsoever. He was just basically like throwing the ball down. He was getting sacked. He just wasn't running. And I'm like, he's not the same guy right now because he's not healthy and he's hesitant to run. He even said like later on when he went to Washington, he said that year he wasn't right in 2021. He was not right. He was not healthy mentally. He wasn't there. And unfortunately, Indiana brought him probably back too early because they didn't have any other options. So, Penix is capable of running. People saying that he's immobile, it's insane. But I do believe that since he's had all these injuries, he probably would love it if he doesn't have to run at all in the NFL as well. He doesn't want to run because he doesn't want to get hurt anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a big part of the way Kalen DeBoer runs his offense. It's so vertical. So it requires a quarterback to stay in the pocket.
Exactly.
Right there. You require you can't get happy feet and move out. You have to be able to operate in that space in his offense. So it kind of mitigates the offensive structure. I think kind of mitigates one of Milroe's strengths, which is getting out. So that I'm like he probably, if he was playing in kind of like a Chip Kelly system where there were like triple option RPOs and stuff, and they rolled him out and stuff, you'd probably see a lot more of that. But in some ways, he really fits DeBoer's offense because he does have a really nice deep ball. He does actually throw the ball vertically very well. He doesn't do a lot else in the passing game at an exceptional level, but you don't see him run or move nearly as much as he's capable of.
So let's say that Jeffrey's right in his analysis, which I agree with, that Milroe is not great at reading defenses or going through progressions, doesn't have the best pocket presence. So then by implication, you're going to have to roll them out. You're going to have a lot of short throws, pre-snap reads, and quarterback runs. So my question is, defenses are going to figure that out. And what they're going to figure out is all you have to do is control the edge, both edges, blitz him, and make him stay in the pocket, and then you're going to render him ineffective. And that's what scares me about Milrow.
Well, I mean, like you could just do like a cage rush or something where the edges aren't like crashing in on the quarterback; they're just sort of staying outside to keep him in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then, is Milrow limiting DeBoer's offense?
I don't know because I don't think DeBoer. I've never seen DeBoer really call much QB run in his other stops. I mean, obviously he didn't do it at all at Washington. He didn't do it at all at Fresno. He did a little bit in the semifinal game last year. We saw him move around. We saw them call a couple of runs for Penix, but
Yeah, and that suggests to me that they're catering to Milrow's strengths, but that means they're also limiting the offense because if Jeffrey's right, which I think he is, the formula to stop Milrow is pretty clear, and it shows how limited Milrow is. So in response to Sports Talk with Austin's question, do I think Milrow's an NFL QB? No, I do not.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can,
but I don't think he's going to have a successful career in the NFL. I think he gets drafted, though, based off the fact that he's at Alabama. And, I mean, that's going to help boost his stock. And plus, the fact he was a Heisman candidate last year, and he's technically in still the Heisman odds this year, even though he has no shot of winning it. He'll get drafted. This isn't a weak QB draft. I wouldn't say it's weak. It's just it doesn't have a lot of strong guys either.
That's the interesting thing. I have no earthly idea who's reminds me of like 2022 a few years ago. When Trayvon Walker was the number one pick. Like who you go back to this time in 2021, like who was thinking Trayvon Walker is going to be this year? I have a hard time seeing any of these QBs being picked first, number one overall in the entire draft. Like I can't do any of these guys.
Shadur is good, but the problem is that he's not like built like an NFL QB. Nope. He's just not built like it. So,
I mean, like maturity is going to be a big issue with him when they go through this too. Cam Ward is, he's got that big arm, but he's like 5'10".
Still turnover prone and size. Yeah. All the QBs are flawed. I mean, you take even like Curtis Rourke in Indiana. Yeah. Curtis Rourke has got the size. He's 6'5", 230, but he's not mobile. And in this day and age in NFL, they want more mobile quarterbacks. He can move, but he's not super mobile. So I do think that's going to limit Rourke as well. Yeah. I think Rourke will get drafted, but he's not going to get drafted super high. And there is brand bias in Indiana. Curtis Rourke's not going to get drafted nowhere near as high as he probably should because he's in Indiana. So, but I mean, he's probably one of the prototypical quarterbacks in the draft, an actual QB. He's an actual quarterback. A lot of these guys are not like Cam Ward, Milrow, Shadur. They got flaws all over.
I mean, you look at Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. They haven't done anything this year at all. Carson Beck's he's outright had a bad year. He looks like I don't know like if he's trying.
I never did. I thought he was
I thought he was good. He showed a lot of promise last year. I thought, this guy can make a lot of throws. He's in tight windows. But when he's played, I mean, every time I've watched him this year, it almost seems like he's trying to make too many plays.
Yeah, he has his moments where he makes a really good play where you're like, you see it. And I get why people were really high on him, but then he just makes a lot of really, really bad decisions. And I agree. I think you're spot on, Sean. He tries to do too much.
So if you guys are acknowledging that Milrow is essentially limited as a passer and that there's a finite number of plays they can run with him, that means it's easy for defenses to game plan against him. So why not give Ty Simpson a chance? Because that opens up more options in the passing game and makes Alabama more unpredictable.
Maybe I mean they see him in practice every day, and maybe they don't see as much upside.
Every time Ty Simpson has come in,
you're probably right.
That's been the biggest problem. Like every time he's come in, people remember the South Florida game last year, where you had no Milrow and it was Tyler Buckner which was a disaster. And then Ty Simpson came in, and he wasn't any better. And, like, even though, yeah, he's young, and it's hard to throw a guy into a game and expect him to play well, if Ty Simpson was really, really good, you think he would at least, just based off talent alone, would be able to perform well against South Florida. He didn't.
Yeah,
and
I think
that's the problem.
Yeah, if the coaches thought he was better, he'd be playing. But I disagree with you. I thought Tyler Buckner had a great game against South Florida.
He was
Yeah.
bad.
I'm just joking.
I know you are. He was bad. I mean, he should never have been a football player. He was a lacrosse guy.
And he isn't anymore.
Oh man.
Well, man,
how about? Man, I was kind of hoping for Alabama to win because he could have won 2 national championships in the same year.
The frustrating thing though is didn't
He's
Tyler
so
Buckner
close.
transfer away from Alabama before the season ended, so he wouldn't even have got a title anyway.
Oh, did he? Is that how it played out?
Transfer before the playoff. I remember that.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's. I mean, like I knew he entered the portal. I thought you could enter the portal and even declare a
I don't know
school.
the rules on that. I thought if you left and you weren't on the team anymore, but maybe you.
Yeah,
could be right.
if you were well, okay. Because I remember Utah. They were going to be down. Bryson Barnes was in the portal, and Utah was going to be down to like their 5th string QB for the bowl game, and Bryson Barnes stepped up and said, "I'll play," but I'm still in the portal.
Okay,
So
I guess you can then. I don't know. That's kind of a weird rule. If you're in the portal, then you shouldn't be able to play. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Sports Talk with Austin asked, what about Jackson Dart? What's his biggest weakness? My response would be inconsistency. He is not consistent. Look at his play against Kentucky. He's had a few games where he's been sub 65% passing percentage. Some great games. Inconsistency with Dart, and that's what worries me about.
I think the other reason people don't really think, highly of him either, because you're right at him on inconsistencies. It's also because I don't really think he does anything elite. He's just kind of average everywhere. I mean, he's not really bad at anything. He can run a little bit. I mean, he's a good passer overall, but he's inconsistent.
He's like 7 of 10 across the board. You know what I mean? That's good. But and he also comes from an Ole Miss an offense that doesn't translate very well to the NFL. It's really like it seems like more of a 2012, 2013 offense.
Like Matt Corral, the Panthers got rid of.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so RPO driven. They don't stand in the prop. You don't learn how to really read a defense playing it. It's kind of gimmicky. So
it's
he's
the
going
same
to
thing with Sam Hartman and Wake Forest. That type of offense just does nothing for your NFL chances. It might work and all, but I mean, don't go there because you're going to have no shot in the NFL.
Yeah, you can throw for 5,500 yards and you can put up these video game numbers, but once the NFL coaches get down and look at it, they're going to be saying, "What am I supposed to do with this?"
Well, and I know that Jets.
This doesn't matter.
You can't run a mesh, play in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. That's slow mesh offense.
Well, I know that I've often talked about Ole Miss not being able to win the big game. Sorry, Ole Miss at the voice of college football. But they just can't get it done in the big game, unfortunately, like the Alabamas or the Georgias of the world. And, this Saturday, maybe we'll see something different. Odds are not very likely.
Ole Miss is a second-tier team in the SEC.
They are the
They're not a top-tier team. They're good. They're really solid, and where they've been to where they are now, they are way better. They are way better, and Lane Kiffin's done a great job there. But I don't think Ole Miss will ever be a top-tier team in the SEC.
They're not going to be,
Kiffin, or maybe ever. Maybe they could if they really, really got on. I don't know what they would have to do. More NIL. More support, I don't know, but there's just a second-tier team. That's why they always lose 2-3 games.
They're not going to be where Johnny Vaught had them in the.
But they're way better than they used to be, though. I remember when Ole Miss was pretty rough, and when they beat Alabama that one year, it was like, what's going on? It was crazy.
2014, Katy Perry, Corn Dog, Day, and then boom, Ole Miss just skyrocketed. Then year later. They beat Alabama again, Tuscaloosa, once in a lifetime touchdown that you see from the Rebels. Boom. But Yeah, the Godfather of the SEC. Huh. Well, okay, Godfather. We got a good question from him. Can Ole Miss beat Georgia in the Grove?
The answer to that question, because he's asking, can they beat him? Yes, they can. They can beat him, but will they beat him? Probably not. They can win, though.
Wait. Forgive my ignorance. I've been following. You might understand other things this week have sort of been my attention. Georgia and Ole Miss are playing this week.
Yes.
Okay. That's yeah. I mean,
I think they are, right? Are they, Jackson, or is it next week?
Yeah, Georgia.
I know that they were on the schedule.
Yeah, Georgia, Ole Miss be on ABC, and here's the funny thing:
this week.
This Saturday, ABC 2:30. Funny thing is, Sean McDonough will be calling that game, and ironically, the two games that Ole Miss lost, Sean McDonough was calling those games as well. But that's the funny part about this.
Well, they were the big games, so he's going to be doing
well, Kentucky wasn't supposed to be a big game.
No,
well, I mean, not a big game, but still.
The thing about Ole Miss too, Ole Miss and Tennessee both have this problem. Is their offense, they put up so goddamn many points against like the weaker half of FBS. Like they look, oh my god, this is unstoppable. And then it just like doesn't scale well at all when they jump up in competition. Like their offense, as soon as they start to play like capable, competent defense, like their production just falls off a cliff. So I mean, I don't.
Go ahead. I didn't interrupt you.
No, I was pretty much done. But
yeah, I was just gonna say, no, Ole Miss is not going to beat Georgia. Georgia's getting healthy on defense. I don't see it happening in the Grove, but when I see the Grove, it brings up, unfortunate memories because I went to the Grove a couple of years ago with my girlfriend, and we got into a fight because, it was just one of those places where, boy, those women were, and I accidentally said, wow, they're so beautiful. And it caused us to fight for about an hour. And I felt really bad. We're still together, and I love her, but, come on. But aside from that, no, I don't think Georgia's not going to lose. Georgia's going to beat
college campuses in the South. Okay, are why Hugh Freeze should be coaching somewhere else. Okay, all right.
Georgia 34.
He should be coaching at Michigan. He won't have any problems there.
Yeah, something like that. Perfect. I mean, no offense to up there. I'm just
no. I mean all the offense to Michigan. Yes, I meant perfectly.
Oh man.
Adam, you're muted.
No, he was intentionally.
My girlfriend's giving me dirty looks right now. I said, relax. It was 2 years ago. We won't go back to the Grove. But I think
it's bad when it keeps getting brought up, right?
Shut my mouth. I just said one thing, but I think Georgia is going to win 34 to 20, 25, 26.
Yeah, I mean, I this Georgia team, I don't trust them in any way. I think this is like one of the least mature teams in the country. So that alone gives Ole Miss something of a chance. Like I feel like this team. I feel like this team could implode at any moment.
With Georgia is that they always show up more against bigger opponents. Like we've seen recently, like a Kentucky, right? Like you just said, like Ole Miss, they lost to Kentucky. Well, then you had Georgia, almost lose to Kentucky, should have lost to Kentucky, but barely won. But then you have Georgia playing some bigger teams. You're outside of obviously losing to Bama, but they win. So it's like if Ole Miss wasn't ranked and Ole Miss, this wasn't a big game, there's a shot Georgia could overlook them, but they're not going to overlook Ole Miss because Ole Miss it's a top 25 game. That I think that hurts Ole Miss, to be honest. But I do agree with you, Sean, that Georgia, their discipline is terrible. I mean, it's gotten worse year over year, and it's at an all-time low.
It is one of those things. Like you can see all the off-field issues all the time. You can see them during moments in games manifest on the field. You just see it more and more. But even though they beat Texas and beat them pretty badly, they did not play a good, clean game that day. They did not. I mean, they were sloppy. They were messy, and making
like
dumb
Texas
personal.
just played really bad.
Yeah,
Texas played bad.
Yeah, Texas played. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Georgia played probably like a C- game and still won easily.
Texas was like an F or a D-.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And Texas could have beat Georgia this year. They could have beaten them, but they didn't play good at all.
Well, I think this year any team can really beat any team. So it comes down to a lot of things like turnover.
I'll add. I do not think Purdue can beat Ohio State this week. I really.
I do think
any of the top 15
so
teams can beat each other.
It's like Indiana,
Well, if Carson Beck decides to get weird and start throwing the ball to the wrong team, Ole Miss has a shot because he's thrown a lot of interceptions. You get a team like Minnesota that has a plus 14 turnover margin. Georgia, this guy's throwing interceptions, handing them out like they're candy. And if he does that in Oxford, they could have a problem. But I think generally Georgia's likely to win.
Well, it'll be interesting.
That's why when he asked the question, can they beat Georgia? I'm like, yes. Will they? Probably not. They can win. They absolutely can win, but they probably won't.
But I'm honestly expecting this to be a 4-quarter game, a game that's competitive right down at least almost to the end. Like I think with 5 minutes to go, you're not going to know who the winner of this game is going to be. So.
Godfather says, I think Hugh Freeze's career is about over. Of course, he said he should have beat Nick 4 times. Auburn should have never hired him. Auburn should have never hired him. It was a really dumb hire, especially after they were accusing Brian Harsin of things. Like, come on, man. That's just hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was
and then hire a guy like Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
So when you guys watched the Georgia-Florida game, was your conclusion that Georgia did not play very well or that Florida is better than we think?
I thought Georgia played like absolute ass.
DJ Lagway, if he doesn't go down, Florida could have won.
I mean, like they were playing against a walk-on quarterback.
Yeah, Florida could have won with Lagway, legit.
Yeah. I mean, like that quarterback. I forget his name was like Warner or something. Came into the game. I mean, his numbers were pitiful. They weren't letting him do anything. I mean, it was basically every pass was just a screen. It was quick. It was just. Okay, you got to figure this guy's probably not even practiced much this year. He's not getting many. He hasn't had many reps with the number one team. In addition to not being exceptionally talented, he probably just hasn't had many reps. So they're getting in there and just like, okay, playbook's completely limited, and the game was still tied in the fourth quarter. Like, no, that's not acceptable for a team with Georgia's talent. That's obscene.
I really do think if Lagway doesn't go down, they could have won. I really think.
For sure.
I think Florida probably would have won the game. And when he went down, I'm like, it's over. Game's done. I mean, if Florida somehow won once he went down, then Georgia really, really sucked. But Georgia finally got it together. But, yeah, like you said, I mean, Warner had no shot. He was bad. And a lot of it wasn't even on him because, like you said, they didn't even let him do anything. But even if he had done anything, he probably would have turned it over. But still, it was rough. It was ugly.
Yeah, I think Napier's done a fantastic job, just as Clark Lee has, and, of course, Signetti. And, Jeffrey, one of the things I've been really struggling with is how good Indiana really is. I think they looked really good against Michigan State, and I think they're for real. But since you cover them more than I do, how good are they?
I think Indiana is a top 10 team. I don't think they're a top 5 team because they don't have enough talent. They just don't. But they're coached like a top 10 team. They're playing like a top 10 team. I know they haven't really beaten anybody, as everybody wants to keep saying. But the thing is that I've never seen, I don't think in my life, a team dominate everybody that they have played the way Indiana has when you're not expecting them to. You know, it's not like an Alabama. It's not like a Clemson, right? You know, like where Clemson beats up on everybody in the ACC because the ACC is bad. Even they've had years in their good seasons where they almost lost. They lost to Syracuse or they almost lost to North Carolina a couple times. Like every team has close games, and Indiana's just destroying everybody. Everybody. It's unreal.
Would you compare Indiana of 2024 to Cincinnati? I think it was 2019 when they played Alabama in the playoff, lost 24-7.
That was wait. That was in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember it was 2021 because of the fact that that was
21.
the year that they beat Indiana when McFadden, they called the target. Indiana probably would have won if they didn't call that. But that being said, Indiana's played harder competition overall, like the whole schedule. But Cincinnati did have the Notre Dame win. They had the Notre Dame win, but Indiana's played Washington. They've played Nebraska. Like you look at Cincinnati and like they were beating a bunch of nobodies, overall. Cincinnati was a good team though, but I don't know if Cincinnati in the Big Ten would have done that. I don't think so. They had a lot of talent though, and arguably they got more guys that are in the NFL from that team than Indiana's probably going to have. This Indiana team is just weird. It is a weird team. It's a bunch of guys, nobody knows who the heck they are, and they're playing way above their talent level. It's unreal. I've never seen this before. It's insane. It's literally insane.
I'll say this about the scheduling point. I'm pretty sure they've given every team they've played this year their worst loss of the year by margin. And probably, they just absolutely. I mean, if all you have are bad teams, make them look real bad, and they're making all these teams look real bad.
I mean, I get
you can't do anything more. If Ohio State had Indiana's schedule, they couldn't have done anything more than this. It's just like, hey, if they had the results that Indiana's had against the schedule, I'd say, okay, we're pretty good. But
I get the sentiment that teams give teams like Ohio State their best game. I get that. I totally understand that sentiment. But it just still kills me that Indiana beat Nebraska 56-7 and Ohio State beat them 21-17. That's what just blows my mind. But and everybody's saying Ohio State's going to destroy Indiana in 3 weeks. You know what? That could happen. Indiana could have a bad game. The moment could get too big for them. The shoe could get too big for them, and Indiana gets blown out by 30. So it doesn't mean they're a bad team though.
But like football is such a weird game too. It's like so much of the game, like that Indiana-Nebraska game. That game was 14-7, relatively late in the second quarter. Nebraska is driving to potentially tie the game. Raiola throws a pick. It might have been a pick six or a pick that had a big return. I remember this because I watched the whole game. I mean, I watched the first half, and because then Indiana scores really quick after that pick. Nebraska goes 3 and out, and they punt. Indiana gets a quick touchdown right before halftime, and then the game just flipped like that. It's like if that one play doesn't happen, who the hell knows what happens the rest of the game?
I get that. I totally agree. I think what's even more impressive though is that Rourke got hurt at the end of the first half, and then Indiana still blew him out. That was impressive. Backup quarterback. I mean, Taven Jackson really struggled against Washington, but Indiana's run game was great. Their defense was great. Still won by 14. But, I mean, that's like my whole point, though, is that, like, Michigan fans are coming in this game, and could they beat Indiana? Yes, they could beat Indiana. Absolutely. But Indiana beats Washington by 14 with the backup quarterback. Michigan loses by 2 scores. Difference is Michigan played at Washington. Indiana was at home. I agree with that. But you look at all these results. Indiana blows Nebraska off the field. Ohio State doesn't. Doesn't mean Ohio State's bad at all.
Indiana blows Michigan State off the field. Michigan State basically played a dead even game with Michigan.
Absolutely. And the thing is that Michigan was at home. Indiana was on the road.
Yeah.
So you look at these results, and they suggest that Indiana's just really good. That's what it suggests. Now, does it mean that they're going to beat Ohio State? No, it doesn't. Does it even mean that they're going to beat Michigan this week? No, it doesn't. But they're really good. 10-2 for IU this season would still be insane. Like, everybody's saying that if they lose these next 2 games, or even to Ohio State by like 17 or 21, then they're no good. And it's like, you thought they were going to go 4-8 or 3-9 in the preseason. 10-2 would still be insane. No one thought that. This is an unprecedented season for Indiana football, and how they're doing it, blowing everybody out. No one thought this. No one expected this. I said they were going to go 7-5. I thought they were going to go 7-5. And I thought I was maybe a little bit bullish on that.
Indiana's not losing to Michigan.
People probably thought you were a homer, thought you were drinking some Kool-Aid when you said we're going to go 7-5.
And the only reason I said that was because, like, every player that he brought in had great stats. at the group of 5 level. And the thing is that if your stats are really good at the group of 5 level, a lot of times it does translate. A lot of times it does. I mean, Curtis Rourke was MAC Player of the Year in 2022. The James Madison guys were all conference players. The tons of guys that they brought in were all conference, but I think like 30 players they had were all conference players at a lower level. So yeah, I mean that's gonna even half that's gonna translate. And have all the transfers been really good? No, but half of them have hit, and those half are really good.
And it's kind of funny, like some of the like higher profile holdovers they had aren't even on the team anymore.
Yeah, Donovan McCulley's gone. He didn't even stay because he wasn't playing. EJ Williams, who transferred in a couple years ago, former almost 5-star recruit at Clemson, he left. I mean, the guys that they had under Tom Allen are leaving, and the guys Signetti brought in are doing great. So it's a buy-in thing. Plus, these guys, especially the James Madison ones, know Signetti's system. The ones that have transferred from other programs like Rourke or Miles Price from Texas Tech, Miles Cross from Ohio, they've just translated over. So,
well, I think Indiana's going to beat Michigan. I don't think it's going to be that close. But my question is, Indiana on offense and defense. So is it a senior-laden team?
That's a great question. It's kind of mixed. I mean, Rourke's he's in his last year of eligibility. But you got guys like D'Angelo Pons, he's a sophomore. So it's mixed. I would say it's more senior laden than most other teams, but not all of them are seniors. Not all.
The reason I ask is the only reason I ask is because when you go on the road, I mean, of the college stadiums I've been to, LSU was the loudest and most disruptive. Outson at Oregon is also extremely loud. So is Washington, surprisingly. I've been to a lot of games in Columbus, and that crowd is not that intimidating. So even though it's a road game, it's not that loud. And I think Indiana can handle it with a defense and offense.
I'll say this: Columbus, they will get loud for a big game, and that Indiana game is going to be a big game, especially if IU can pull out the win this weekend, because that game will be basically that game is going to be a Big Ten semifinal game. The winner is going to go to the championship game.
Agreed. But anyway,
it is not an intimidating environment when they think they're going to win, because we have not lost, and we got a rude wake up call in the Nebraska game, and Twitter exploded over like the lack of crowd participation in that game until the very end, when we started throwing bottles on the field after the targeting call. But then, if it's a big game, if they know it's something they have to get up for, then the place does get rocking. But a noon game against a nondescript team, that place is church.
True, but So I was thinking about Alabama LSU, and Jeffrey, you and I talked a little bit about LSU's defense not being so good a little while ago, and Alabama's going to have to do what they did against Missouri. But Adam, we'll start with you. What is your score prediction for Alabama LSU?
38-35 LSU, and I'm a big Alabama fan. My girlfriend graduated from there. I got a degree from there, so I love Bama. Love Quick Grill. But I think LSU pulls it out in Death Valley, 38-35. I think Milroe has a very good game, but I think ultimately the defense is going to give up close to 500 yards against LSU, and I think Nussmeier is going to limit his interceptions. And given the home field advantage, I think it's LSU by 3.
LSU by 3. All righty. Sean, what's your prediction for Alabama LSU?
I kind of think like one team is going to run away with this at some point. I mean, like the offenses are so much overpowered compared to the defenses in this game. It feels like there's just going to be a momentum swing here or there that lifts one team to a fairly resounding victory. Given it it's in Death Valley, unfortunately, I have to say that it's more likely to be LSU. I'm going to go real high scoring here. I'm going to go LSU 48, Alabama 31.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I'm also saying it very, very, very easily could go the other way with Bama. I'm saying one team will win very convincingly. That's what I think. Yep.
Jeffrey, you got a prediction video on Alabama LSU, but where's the timestamp again at it? What was your
I
prediction?
literally have no idea. I have no idea what my score prediction was for the game. I know who I picked to win, though. I know who I picked to win. I'll put the link in the chat if any of you guys want to check it out. But yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember what my score was. But the issue is for me in this game is that it's at night, man. It's Death Valley at night. That is a problem, man. It's at night. Figures it's at night. Why couldn't it be the afternoon game at least? Come on. I know why it's at night, but I mean it's a different atmosphere. I mean, how many teams go to LSU at night and win? It's the same thing with LSU going to Texas A&M, right? I mean, it's just everybody's like, oh, LSU's gonna get it done. I picked A&M. Like I picked A&M because I'm like A&M's crowd, they're gonna win, and they did. The SEC crowds are nuts, especially at night. Alabama can win. Alabama absolutely can win, especially if Milroe has a good game like Adam said that he will. But, I mean, the problem is I just think the crowd, man, and LSU is going to be pumped. It's basically an elimination game, too, for the playoff. The loser's done. So I think I said Alabama is going to lose 35-31. I think that was my score. It might have been 31-28, though. It was in that round. I think I said 35-31 LSU. I think it's a 50-50 game, and sometimes home crowd's enough.
So when we talk about like teams not having good defenses, like at an elite level, like Alabama's defense is not great, LSU's defense is not great. We know that they have the athletes in terms of physicality. So is the reason that they're weak because they can't grasp the scheme as well, or they're not processing as quickly because they have the physical ability? So what makes them a less than stellar defense?
Well,
one of the main issues
Alabama has there might be just some coaching issues with Alabama. I don't think that staff that they have defensively is really up to the caliber.
Totally agree.
The staff has been. So and plus, you know, Saban left and a few really, really key players bolted, went to the portal. So, you know, their talent isn't even. I mean, it's still very, very high. But it's not quite what it could have been.
I agree with that, Sean. And like I said, the secondary is very young. There's a lot of youth there. And I do agree that overall the coaching staff is inferior to Saban's staffs. I mean, they are. I mean, Nick Sheridan's the offensive coordinator for Alabama. And Nick Sheridan, when he was at Indiana, was not very good. I know that it's a lot less talented in Indiana, but like when Kalen DeBoer was the offensive coordinator at Indiana, he was great. When Nick Sheridan was the offensive coordinator at Indiana, he wasn't very good. He was okay, but he wasn't.
Then why is Indiana beating teams that have far superior talent? Can it be just that they're so cohesive in their knowledge of the scheme that those intangibles are really what separates good from great defenses?
I mean, I think that has to be the case. I mean, because Indiana doesn't have one player on their defense that coming into the season was on a draft board. Most of them still aren't even on draft boards, and they're playing great. Like Mikel Kamara leads the Big Ten in sacks, and he's on no draft boards. What in the world?
Yeah,
really? Like you have to be. You have to just be on something. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. You're crazy. You're crazy. He's leading the Big Ten. Big Ten has studs on defense all over the place. And Mikel Kamara is leading the Big Ten in sacks, and he's not on any draft boards. I don't know what's going on. That is brand bias right there. But he was a 2-star recruit out of high school.
Then you've got a guy from Penn State who has like 5 sacks on the year, who people are talking about being like a top 3 pick or something. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Mikel Kamara might not be as talented as that guy, but he's really good. I mean, grasping the scheme. I mean, coaching matters. I agree with you, Adam. That's why, like, I've 100% agree. It's not all Cignetti. It's the other guys too. All the Indiana's coordinators are all great right now. This is unprecedented for a team to me to have every coordinator be great. And that's why, to me, if Indiana's going to be good in the future, they have to keep all of these coordinators as well as Signetti. They have to keep them for many years.
That's what I was talking about this with the on the Michigan Collins show this week. I was saying that they were talking because they hate their coordinators right now. They're
bad. They are bad.
They want to, and people are talking about like, oh, I want Signetti. I'm like, you know what? One thing is, I mean, Signetti is. He's an unconventional person. I don't think anybody can watch him and say like this guy marches to the beat of his own drummer. It's hard to know whether or not how long he wants to stay in Indiana or how aspirational he is. He seems like the kind of guy that at least wants to stay in a place for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's not desperate to move up like most coaches are. He's not.
And as I've said 1 billion times, Indiana is way more equipped than people think to keep him.
But I also told them, like, you know what? Look at Haynes, their defensive coordinator here. Look at their coordinators right now. Like,
and that's what I'm worried about. Will the team get worse, even with Signetti? I mean, Signetti can be there, and if those coordinators are garbage, they might not be good. They probably won't, because like Tom Allen won with good coordinators, and then they left, and then he sucked. So
yeah, I mean, like even Alabama, we're this is an Alabama show still. So we'll talk about Alabama. Like, you notice a difference when you have Tommy Rees and Pete Golding as your coordinators, as opposed to when you had Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin and these guys. There's a difference.
Forget that they were trending down somewhat on offense because the styles were shifting on offense with more of a passing-oriented offense versus Bama just beating it down the field with the run game again and again and again. And then Lane Kiffin came in and completely saved it. Like, you never saw really the cracks showing, but I remember the last season before Lane Kiffin, Bama's offense did take a step back. No one remembers that because Alabama was still great and they had a great defense. But Nick Saban was like, if I don't change the offensive style, we're going to start losing. And that's a great coach right there. He realized it. He brought Lane Kiffin in, resurrected his career. The offense changed, was more modernized, and Alabama remained elite. And even though they clashed and didn't really, get along, he dealt with Lane Kiffin because he's like, I know I wouldn't be winning right now, and that's why I agree. Like, when you came on, Adam, a couple weeks ago on After Dark, we're talking about, like, I agree it's not all Signetti, 100%. I just credit Signetti for finding these guys that nobody knew who the heck they were and hiring them. Because he hired every single one of these dudes at James Madison. They're all James Madison coaches. They all have come over, every one of them. The only guy that he didn't bring over is the O-line coach, because Indiana's O-line coach that Tom Allen actually hired last year is better than the James Madison guy. Other than that,
something that nobody ever talks about is coaching staff development. Nobody's out, like, these coaches aren't just who they are from the day one. They put a whistle over their neck. It's I mean, like, someone has to teach and develop them how to. And the staff has been with Signetti for quite a while, so it's
And they're all young. They're all really young guys, and some of them have young kids. So that's why I'm saying, like, if Indiana pays all of them enough, maybe they'll keep them for at least 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Before they want to make that jump. Because they're all in their 30s. And that's actually happening across college football. My team, Ohio State's a big exception to this because we got 2 coordinators in their 60s, but there are exceptions. But no, I mean, like, there's a lot of people putting in, like, really, really young staffs because, well, I mean, like, one is the game changes so much so quickly. It's so fluid now. Like, what you did, you watch a game from 2018 right now, it almost feels like you're going back in time.
Yeah,
I mean, everything's so different. Everything seems so simple when you watch those games. So it's like, now it's kind of coaching is just kind of a young man's game. It's just You
And
know,
people talk all the time about like players regressing, improving, regressing. And it's like a lot of people don't think about that with coaches. Sometimes coaches do regress. Mac Brown is not the same guy that he was in 2005. He's not the same guy. He's not even close to the same guy. Love Mac Brown, respect Mac Brown, and he's still okay, but he's not nowhere near what he was. And
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in continuity with coaches. The more they work together.
Very much.
One question I wonder about is, do you guys think that Bryce Young's lack of success in the NFL is going to negatively impact Milrose draft stock?
No, zero. They're not even close to the same player.
Different style type of players.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if that was the case,
plus, Milroe is not going anywhere near the first overall pick in the draft.
Yeah,
so
if that was the case,
that's my point. Like, if Bryce isn't succeeding, I thought he was far superior to Milroe. So I see Milroe as a third-round pick.
Yeah, that's probably. I think that's probably about right. He's a toolsy guy who just needs like a lot of development.
Assistance to become what he could be. But to your point, Adam, about that, like if that was the case and Ohio State's quarterbacks in Justin Fields or CJ Stroud wouldn't have gotten drafted because some of their previous quarterbacks have been awful in the NFL. I mean,
Ohio State
NFL were automatic flops.
Until Stroud came along and Fields to a lesser extent. I mean,
it was bad.
We have like nobody. No, I mean like
all failures. All of them.
Who? I mean, like Kenton Graham might be the best Ohio State quarterback in the NFL.
And Alabama hasn't been much better. All theirs has been flops too. But
I remember because I remember when AJ McCarron filled in for Andy Dalton. This was like in 2016, I want to say ish, around that point. And they sort of said an Alabama quarterback had not won an NFL game since 1988.
That's bad.
And Brody Croyle had the famous 0-10 career record and career starts.
Oh, bad. Listen, guys, I've got to run, guys, because see what happens is when you're close to 50 years old, you take naps and you get tired early. So it's almost my bedtime tonight. So
there you go.
Great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
There we go. We appreciate your contribution. And check out Adam on Rutgers Voice College Football and give him a follow on SC Trojans 97 on X and on Adam Lamparello on Instagram.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good night, Adam.
Cool. I'll hang out with you guys until this Bengals game wraps up here. 54 seconds left. Tight one here. Are you guys paying attention?
Oh yeah,
I was watching a lot of the game before I got
came on here. Right now, the Bengals are at the 12-yard line. The Ravens 12, 2nd and 10.
Yep.
Man, I picked the Ravens. I don't know if you saw my prediction, Sean, but I did pick the Ravens. 27.
No harm. I probably would have too. It's a tough one though. This is especially when you're up 2 touchdowns in the second half. Defense, God, the Bengals defense they're just not good enough. I mean, they
were actually talking about that on the broadcast. So like the defensive coordinator, he's been there for a few years, and he did really good like a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, he's been fantastic. And this goes to show. I mean, like there's going to be a lot of variance, and a lot of times like certain people will get a disproportionate amount of the credit. Like what. Sometimes they drafted really well for a while and they had a fantastic defense and they got their defense kind of carried them to the Super Bowl that year. And, eventually, definitely not. Oh God. But eventually, some of those players retire, some of them just leave in free agency, especially when you've got a quarterback that you have to start paying. You can't keep all those pieces. And then once that talent goes on, then you're going to have a few more flaws. And this is part of the problem. Now this is our first year with Burrow's new contract on the books this season. So you're going to have if you're paying a quarterback close to $60 million, you're going to have some holes. Like it's
the same thing with the Cowboys. They pay the guys at the top of their roster so much money that the rest of their team is garbage. That's what Cowboys don't get. Their team sucks so bad outside of the top few players that they have. And Dak is getting way too much money. He is.
And I mean, like that puts an enormous amount of pressure on your front office to just nail the draft, because that's the one way you can mitigate like paying guys a lot. Nice.
True.
So I mean, like that's the one way you. But like, who can do that? Like, you can't count on. That's not a strategy. That's a prayer. It's like let's just have a great draft every year. Okay.
Yeah.
If it were that simple,
remember when they got rid of Tyreek Hill and people were saying like, oh, that was a dumb move because of the fact Tyreek Hill is their offense or whatever, but he was making a ton of money. And then it's like the Chiefs get a bunch of dudes at receiver that are good enough, fast enough, and they're good enough.
I mean, like barely good enough. They're
barely
like
good enough. And Mahomes took a pay cut that he could have made more, and it's like they keep winning. They keep winning. So
Tom Brady did that with the Patriots.
Dallas did not do that.
I know. We know that like Tom Brady did that with the Patriots as well.
Because I can guarantee if Tyreek Hill was still at the Chiefs, they'd be a worse team right now because of the fact he was making so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people talk down to the Chiefs letting Tyreek Hill go. They're like, oh, their dynasty's over. No, they've got their third Super Bowl and counting.
It's the same thing with Tom Brady. People said, oh, he didn't have any receivers because, you know, like the Wes Welkers and Julian Edelmans and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but they were cheap. They were cheap and they were good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can make it work when you've got a great team all around. Your quarterback's really good and you've got good enough receivers. Good enough.
And the one time they were able to get just a stud receiver was in that Randy Moss. And I don't really know if they like Randy Moss. That was kind of the weirdest pickup. He had kind of the weirdest couple years ever. He basically argued his way out of Minnesota, and they traded him to the Raiders, who were. I'm sorry. Let's go. Damn it!
Oh, did they missed the extra point? Crap.
2 point, yeah.
Oh, they went for two.
Yeah. They went for two, and unfortunately, we had to throw it to Tanner Hudson.
Oh, geez.
No.
Oh well.
Why would you go for two, Bengals? Come on.
I know the overtime.
Hudson's out there arguing it should have been called interference, but I didn't see it live. But no, let's see here. Well, I guess it's not gonna be the flag's not gonna be thrown anyway, so I guess it doesn't. Oh man, that definitely should have been thrown, but the refs didn't see it. I guess that was definitely a hold, but maybe a little bit of an acting job too here by that tight end on the other side. Maybe maybe he knows the ball's not going to him, so might as well just take a dive.
True.
So, but bummer. God, I mean, man, they have lost like every one of these now, but close games this year.
Wasn't AJ the last Bama QB to win an NFL game? Well, I mean, obviously Tua has won games now.
No. What are they? What the hell is he talking about?
I don't know. I
guess do you not count Jalen Hurts in this? And even besides him, Tua and
Rice has won games
and McCorkle out there.
Well, last week,
Max Jones.
Last week it was the first time.
Yeah,
it was the first time last week in Bryce Young's NFL career that he was able to take a knee. Like that's like the holy crap stat.
Hey man, I don't care. The Saints.
Oh man, they could have called a hands to the face on this too. Oh man, that's a more. They probably should catch that one.
Yeah.
Well, I will
say
the
Saints were really they fallen apart after that 2-0 start. They were really good at the beginning, but they've completely collapsed. Dennis Allen just got fired. But hey, the Panthers did okay this past week. They did okay. They got a win, so that's great.
So wait. Bryce Young started this weekend, right? Dalton was out. Okay.
Yep.
Played okay, threw a pick, threw a touchdown. I mean, the team just sucks, man. That's the problem. The Panthers just suck. They got rid of all their good players, and David Tepper's a horrible owner. I mean, they got Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. They just gave Chuba Hubbard an extension, but they got Miles Sanders still that they can't get rid of because his contract's ridiculous. I mean, it's a mess. They're just a terribly run organization.
Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, like David Tepper is the richest owner in the NFL too.
He is bad.
I mean, legitimately, the difference between him and most owners is like almost the difference between most owners and us. Like that's how much more wealthy. I mean, he is absurdly rich, and and then like to see him make the kinds of decisions and blunder this organization as much as he has.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, every move that he makes has been like the Bryce Young trade to get the first pick. Like, I don't care, draft Stroud, draft Bryce, like that whole debate. They should have never made that trade anyway.
No.
The trade was stupid. I mean, it was almost as bad as the Denver Broncos trade with Russell Wilson. It was that bad. It was stupid.
But I'll ask this, like, who was their quarterback at the time?
Well, I mean, they cycled through. I'm trying to remember that exact. They had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. That was it. That
Sam Darnold before that.
Yeah, because they were on the same team at one point. Baker Mayfield on the Panthers at the same time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was. That's hilarious to think. And look, like they were both freaking awful. I mean, Baker Mayfield had like the lowest QBR when he was with the Panthers in like 30 years.
Yeah,
and then
every quarterback got better that left the Panthers. They
look at this.
Like, I wish
Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, like 7 years later, they're finally living up to the hype.
I wish they were like. I wish the fans could like have the power to vote out the team owner because like that.
I would vote out David Tepper right now. I mean, Carolina, living in North Carolina. And seeing Panther fans literally people joke like I've been to places where they're like giving away tickets for the games. Like that's how bad it is for them. And people are like, I'm not going. They suck.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's bad. It's depressing at this point.
You know, like how there's businesses. You know how there's businesses that could like vote out a CEO.
Oh yeah. Get the board of directors just convenes in a meeting and said,
they need
CEO, get out of here.
That with the
any
NFL,
public or the shareholders publicly
NBA because there are so many incompetent owners.
Yeah, Tom Gores, get your freaking hands off the Pistons. Like, just get the hell out of.
Oh, the Pistons, man!
Go back to Lithuania and run your little whatever. Whatever I'm sure money laundering ring you did to be able to buy the team in the first place.
Like board of directors for like the NFL for NFL owners, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
What really kills me is how many owners. What really kills me is how many owners like know nothing about football.
Here's the thing, though. Every single team outside of the Packers is actually like publicly traded, so they're on an exchange. You could go right now. You can download Robinhood, and you could search, the Carolina Panthers stock, and you can buy like a piece of it.
Oh, nice.
It doesn't matter much. It does. The owners maintain such like the principal owners maintain such a huge piece of the organization that the little tiny shareholders don't have any say whatsoever. But
yeah, it's like an employee-owned. It's like an employee-owned company, like Publix, right? Like everybody, like the company's owned by the employees or whatever. Like if you're just like the lowest of the totem pole guy, it's like, oh, you own a fraction of Publix. Yeah, okay.
But I mean, it's like I mean, I went out and voted this week. I don't know if you guys did, right? Like, I mean, we own a much smaller fraction of our government, but I'm still going to use it. Absolutely. If you give me the power.
I mean, everybody should use their civic duty, and vote.
Right.
Everybody should do that. I mean, I agree with that. It's dumb not to. Whoever you vote for, it doesn't matter. I mean, you should definitely vote. Sports Talk with All says Jeffrey buys 100% of Panthers stock. I wish, man. I would do it right now if I could. I would save the Panthers. I would.
Yes. Yes. Go right now. Try to buy out a guy who's worth about $150 billion.
Yeah,
out of his team.
Yeah, I can make up probably like 0.01% of that.
That honestly, if you did the math on that, that would still be like an absurd amount of money.
Yeah, like 0.01 would probably be
that would be like $15 million still.
Yeah,
can you do that? Hey, we've got it on video right now. Jeffrey is committed to paying $15 million for a share of the Panthers.
I wish, man. I would do anything to help that organization. I mean, I miss the Cam Newton era. I miss it, man. I was young, watching the Panthers, little kid. It was just a great, fun time. From 2011 to 2017 was just great, and then it all fell apart.
But the thing is, they didn't have that many great teams during that. Like some of their teams weren't that good during that time.
But it was still fun.
Yeah,
it was still fun. I agree, because the thing is, they've said actually that the Panthers as an organization have never had back-to-back winning seasons. So during the Cam Newton era, every year that what they would do, they would have like the Super Bowl run, and then the next year they went 8-8. So that doesn't count as a winning record. So that's what they would do, like literally every year. Like I think in like the first breakout year might have been 2013, and then they kind of struggled in 2014, went to the Super Bowl in 2015, sucked in 2016, did better in 2017. That was their last playoff appearance, and then they've been bad ever since. They've had a losing record every year since 2017. But they've never had two winning seasons back to back as an organization, even back in the low era.
And okay, so they've been to 2 Super Bowls, right?
Mm-hmm.
2,
and then the season after that they went under 500.
No, but
they've never had two back-to-back winning seasons.
Okay, so yeah, I grew up. I was born, in Southern Ohio. I've been a Bengals fan since I can remember, but growing up during the 90s and early 2000s, this organization they were ungodly awful. I mean, they were so bad year after year after year after year. And then they got good. And then around that same time, I'm living in Michigan. I'm not a Lions fan, but I kind of pay attention. That was so around the Millen era. I remember that, the Matt Millen, when Millen was the GM from like 2099 to around like 08 and stuff. They were winning like 3-4 games every year, every single year.
They were a disaster.
Yeah.
So we got the caller link in for those who want to call in, and more than welcome to call in, especially you, Godfather of SC. And I will say, though, sad to see that the Bengals lost tonight.
Yeah, that might eliminate their playoff chances. I know if
they almost need to. They can probably afford one loss. Like they should get in that. If you can get in with 7 losses, but 8.
Yeah,
that's slim.
They needed the win.
Yeah. I mean, both of these games versus the Ravens, both times they've had they've had multiple touchdown leads in both of their games against the Ravens in the second half. Of both of them. And
it's almost like the Commanders last year versus the Eagles. Both games they played, they were winning almost the whole game, and then they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, the Commanders were bad, but still, like, now they're good this year.
Yeah.
But still, it's crazy how that works, though.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's a real shame because Burrow is having a fantastic season.
Yeah, he's playing well, but the team's not winning. They're 4-6. Yeah.
I mean, like, and this just goes into like the whole cap theory. You're like, you just can't afford to be paying. And Chase, and it's going to get even worse because they're going to have to pay Jamar Chase. They're going to lose, probably a couple of other like key players.
It goes downhill from there. I mean, like I said, the Dallas Cowboys is the perfect epitome of that. I mean, every year they're just getting worse and worse and worse because they're paying all these guys that they have to keep or whatever, and then the rest of the team is just bad.
Yeah. But you know what? Like the the one saving grace is Joe Burrow is better than Dak Prescott.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jamar Chase is better than CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. CD's really good, but yeah, I would say that Chase is probably better. You agree with that, Jackson? It's not.
No, but like the difference between, I would rather have a big difference at quarterback than a big difference. Okay, like they're both top 5 receivers in the league.
Yeah, CD's unreal. Like definitely CD's not Cowboys' problems at all in any way, shape, or form. But I will say that like CD definitely is getting irritated. I won't say that's affecting his play much, but he has shown a lot of frustration. So whereas Jamar Chase hasn't, because even with the Bengals struggles, he's still just playing. Whereas I can tell CD's starting to bother him.
Yeah, and it might start to bother Chase too because they haven't locked up a deal. He was holding out. I was hoping they would get something done in the offseason before the season started, but now I think
just still with Burrow though, that connection, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? One thing that I am optimistic about, I do kind of like the complementary receivers that they've picked up in later rounds, like Yosivas and Charlie Jones. You know, I mean, like
Charlie Jones is underrated. I'll give Purdue that. They did something with him, unlike Iowa. So good job, Purdue. Back in your heyday.
So that's So there's some reason, a little more reason for hope there, but you know, I mean, Lou Anarumo, you got to figure something out because we're not going to have the studs defensively that we had your first couple years here. So this is just not good enough. You have a quarterback who's playing close to MVP level this season, and you're 4-6.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
not happen.
But Sean, before we let you go, what you got going on this week?
Okay, I'll be here on well, not at this channel, but on the main channel on Sunday night for the Voice of College Football after dark. Jackson is always one of our panelists as well. And
I try to come on if I can make it.
Yep, Jeffrey's a common guest. We tend to go very long, and it gets very occasionally.
Like when I come on, it goes longer.
Yes, and it gets even more. It's longer and more bizarre when Jeffrey's on. And
I don't take all the credit, but it does seem to be that way.
I mean, some nights it's fairly cut and dry. We just go through the games and talk about it, but more often than not, we have digressions. We go down roads less traveled.
We go off the rails.
Yes.
Oh,
So if that appeals to you guys at all, yes, Sunday night at usually around 10:30ish, we hop on and let our freak flag fly about the weekend here. So
yep, you'll see some people going all Azula on Nebraska losing to UCLA, for example.
My Lord, man. I mean, Nebraska's going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, if you check out the latest one, I went and had my little Azula moment on the.
They were 5-1. Now they're 5-4, and they could lose out.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be just insane if they missed a bowl game this year. But
weren't they like 5-2?
5-2. They were 5-2. They were 5-2. And back then we had a Big Ten show every Monday night, and everyone just assumed that they were going to be bowl eligible. Like, it's like congratulations to Matt Rule. You're going to get your team bowl eligible. Don't ever tell Nebraska they're going to do something well. Like,
gotta get there.
They're like Charlie Brown.
It's like, have you ever said don't tell this guy he can't do it because he'll find a way. Yeah, don't tell Nebraska they can't screw something up because wait. You say I'm going to achieve this? Hell, screw you. Oh, sir,
screw it up.
I'm sorry, yeah, screw it up with the best of them. But
5-2 to 5-7, and now 5-1 to possibly 5-7. I mean, they can still win a game, but you couldn't beat UCLA.
they probably will.
Haven't they had the weirdest 3-game stretch? They got blitzed by
Unbelievable.
Indiana, almost beat Ohio State, and then lose to UCLA. I don't get it.
At home.
They beat Colorado earlier in the year. I don't get it. I don't understand. They're weird. They are weird. That's all
I mean, but I do want to mention this before I leave. The Voice of College Football After Dark. I have looked this up. I can officially certify we are the #1 source of Merrimack football coverage on the internet. So if that is something that interests you, come by on Sunday at 10:30.
100%, absolutely. You're not gonna find Merrimack analysis anywhere else. So you got to go to.
Well, certainly not the quality and passion that we have towards the program because, All right, guys. You have a great one.
Appreciate
you
it,
too,
Sean.
man. See you later, man.
Have a good one.
And,
we got a super chat from Ripstar of the Michigan at the Voice of College Football community. The guy wearing a Bama hat is the IU host. Yeah, I am the Indiana host, and I'm also an Alabama fan as well. So definitely making content over here with Jackson on the Alabama College Show. If you'd like to call in, we'll probably be wrapping it up soon. But if you want to call in, appreciate it. But I definitely could tell you don't believe in IU. That's okay. It's all good.
To each their own. But
they don't pay me a dime, man. I've been an Indiana fan for the last 8-9 years, and I've been an Alabama fan since I was 3.
Yeah. Like if you know this guy personally, like he is the Alabama, North Carolina, Indiana man. Like matter of fact, he said himself, Indiana has been his feel bad team. So
I've always had a soft spot for them. I mean, they lose, and I just started watching them like, hey, they suck. But I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't call it a bandwagon fan in that regard because I mean, it would be different if I was an Indiana fan first and then an Alabama fan. That would be a bandwagon fan. But I've been an Alabama fan since I was 3. I have a lot of family members that live, or most have lived there, and have liked them for a long time. I don't root for Purdue. I don't root for them. I don't hate Purdue. I don't hate Purdue as much as other people do. That's it. But I know Ripstar. He's definitely a very outspoken Michigan fan. So definitely appreciate you for being here. You got any thoughts, Jackson, on the game or anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, because I was wanting to make this point before. Because I'm hoping we can talk about this part before the show ends. But how's Nick Saban feeling? Because like he's going to Baton Rouge. Matter of fact, he's going to be at the Alabama LSU game, not as a head coach for either team for the first time since 2006. How is he going to be feeling about this one? That's what I'm wondering. That's what I've been thinking about all week.
Well, I mean, I think his heart lies more with Alabama than it does LSU. I mean, obviously. I mean, he won 1 title at LSU. He won 6 at Bama. But, I mean, for his analysis, I mean, I just think he's going to pick who he actually believes will win. And most people are probably going to pick LSU because it's at Death Valley at night. I mean, the thing is that this is one of those games where the way both teams are playing, that where the game is played probably impacts who you pick. If it was at Alabama, most people would pick Alabama. But since it's at LSU, most people are going to pick LSU. There might be one person that picks Bama on the panel on game day or whatever, but most are going to pick LSU. That's just the way that it is. I mean, it's Death Valley at night. It's a different beast. It's a different environment. So. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be rooting for Bama. If he's rooting for LSU when 98% of his success as a coach was at Alabama, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. He's got a dealership in Alabama. Okay, he doesn't have a Mercedes-Benz thing or a car dealership rather in Louisiana. He's got it in Alabama. Which, I mean, I think Mercedes-Benz anyway has a big plant or whatever in the state of Alabama where they assemble cars anyway. But still, it's like he's more in line with Alabama by far than LSU. So, I mean, definitely, that's my thoughts on that.
For sure. And it's going to be fun to see what happens on Saturday night. And I will say, though, we've got some pretty awesome holiday gifts we're looking forward to, especially with Christmas rolling around. There's a nice book written by Mark Rogers himself, The Disputed National Champions, 1990s reset for history, written by Mark Rogers. And I can tell you right now, it's a wild one. And it is the go-to book for the college football fan in your life. In this book, you're going to learn what happened in the 90s, how the decade changed the sport, why the championship results should be questioned, how to correctly think through the scenarios to appreciate the accomplishments of teams that were not recognized as champions. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the changes, controversies, and outcomes that defined a decade of college football. Grab your copy now.
Absolutely. You're not going to want to miss that at all. Mark Rogers definitely, knows his stuff when it comes to college football. That's why he's the voice of college football. You're not going to want to miss that at all whatsoever. I do have to answer this question from Ripstar, though. By you, Bama, me in the playoffs, which hat will you be wearing? I mean, honestly, the problem is I like Bama more than Indiana, but since Bama's been so dominant and like Indiana has not had any success ever, I would probably – I don't know. I would say I would be a little bit more. I'd be more excited for Indiana to win than Alabama because Indiana never has success. So if Indiana won, I would be more excited and happy for them. If Alabama won, it'd be like I'm happy and excited because I love the team and I love Bama and I've been a fan since I was 3. But it wouldn't be as significant of a win. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be as significant because like Alabama, I've seen them win 6 national titles. Well, I probably wouldn't be at the game, but I mean, if I was, I mean, which hat would I be wearing? Like on the sideline of the crowd? I don't know. I mean, maybe both. Maybe I'll wear both.
All I know is this:
I probably would, I guess, wear Alabama, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, if Alabama and Indiana do play in a playoff game, all I know is that it's going to make for a very fun post game. It'll be similar to what Jeffrey and Justin had for Nebraska, Indiana, a crossover post game. So I think it could be something like that.
See, like Sean's saying, I root for Cincinnati or Ohio State if they ever play at the time. I mean, the thing is, like, it's because like Cincinnati or Indiana doesn't ever win. Like Bama and Ohio State do. So I mean, you kind of would want the team that never wins to win. I mean, it's hard to do that though. It's hard because I mean, like I love Alabama football, and I'm glad that I was raised to liking a team that doesn't suck. I mean, it would suck if like my entire family was like Vanderbilt fans. It would suck, but I talk the same way, man.
yeah.
I talk the same way.
Yeah, he's just having some fun with you.
I know he's good, man. He's good, but I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, most people, whether they like it or not, most people do like several teams. Most people just aren't willing to admit it. Seriously, there are a ton of people out there that I know that like multiple different teams, but they support one the most, and it's normally the team that wins. So I think that honestly is the it's the reason why people don't really support the bad team, because they don't want people laughing at them like, oh, well, you support this garbage team, like we beat you all the time. Like, you're not a better person than someone else just because of the fact that you like a better team than someone else. I mean, because you'll have people like I've even seen like Bama or like Ohio State fans or whatever, like say, oh, we're better than you, Indiana, we're better than you, Vanderbilt, like we're just so much. It's like, yeah, the team's better, but like you're not a better person than that other guy at all. Like, just because you're a fan of a better team. Like, I've never used that superiority complex of being an Alabama fan just because of the fact that, like, oh, we beat up on South Carolina Vanderbilt all the time. Like, I don't do that. I'm like, oh, I'm better than you, South Carolina fan. No, I'm not. My team's better than yours, but you can like whoever you want. So that's just the way I look at it. I mean, like I said, Indiana's a unique thing. I don't know why I started watching them and just liking them, but I do. So, I mean, they're my second favorite team, and I mean, I like Carolina too because I live in the state of Carolina. I do love Carolina, especially basketball, because I've been watching Carolina basketball for a long time. But I mean, like I said, most people like several teams. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't even look at it as bandwagon at all. I don't, because I have reasons to like the teams that I do. Honestly, to be honest with you, the team that I have the least reason to like is Indiana, because I mean, I live in the state of North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I do, especially basketball, because I mean, I never really watched Carolina football. I've started watching it more recently since I cover football and stuff. But I watch Carolina basketball more. But, I mean, Carolina and Alabama, are the teams that I've watched since I was a kid. Indiana, I've started watching more recently just because I chose to do that. I don't know why I did, but I did. So it's just the way it is. I mean, I got people that I know that like several different teams. So Duke is better. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
The Carolina, I like Carolina better than Duke by far. But again, don't hate Duke just like I don't hate Purdue. I know a lot of people that are Duke fans and they hate Carolina, and I'm like, I don't hate your team as much as you hate mine. So what's the deal? It is what it is.
That's true.
Poor people, man. So
that's
cool.
true, man. But I will tell you though, check out Alabama with the Voice of College Football, the YouTube membership, where for $2.99 a month, you can become a Crimson Faithful member, where you can get a loyalty badge next to your name in the comments and live chat, and you can get a custom emoji to use in the comments and live chat, and you get a member shout out. Also, you can become a Saban Disciple for $4.99 a month, where you can get access to a monthly hangout from yours truly and Jeffrey and Johnny and friends, and priority reply to comments. And finally, if you become a Bear Bryant legend, we can connect on social media and you can give out content requests. Heck, you can even give out interview requests. Who would you want us to get? If you want us to get like Joe Namath, we'll make sure we can bring him out for you. If you want us to get like a Nick Saban marking, you want us to get like a player that no one's really talked about in years, or a coach that no one's talked about in years, or anybody, content crews, anybody, literally anybody. You want to give out any content request, we will make sure we fulfill it. Internet, bad weather, nothing will stop us from fulfilling that request, because we will make sure your investment is safe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're definitely not gonna, want to miss being a member at Alabama, the Voice of College Football. I got a lot of great content coming down the pike, down the rest of the season, and even in the off season. That's what they say, at the Voice of College Football here. There's no off season, so you're not gonna want to miss any of the content we have coming. So definitely appreciate you guys for being here, and if you become a member, definitely would appreciate that as well. Thanks, Rip Star, for the compliment. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely try to engage and with the chat and not go overboard. Like some people just lose it. I don't want to lose it. You're good. You're having fun. It's cool. JT Thompson says, can you interview Mike Price? I mean, the thing is definitely, we'll do everything we can to get an interview. If somebody requests it, absolutely. I mean, if it can't happen, it can't happen. But we'll do everything we can to make it happen. So definitely, the effort and trying is definitely, sometimes more important than if whether something happens or not. At least you tried. So definitely, we'll do the best we can.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the greatest, phrases of all time for motivation. I mean, if you don't try, then you're going to fail because you didn't do it, Like, you have to at least give the effort. You have to make an effort. Like, oh, somebody wants Nick Saban to come on this show. Well, we'll try to make it happen. If it don't happen, at least we tried, and don't give up. Steve says multiple teams, what new school fans do, pick one team and be like, Well, again, if you're going off that logic, then I'm an Alabama fan. Okay. But if you're just going off that logic, I've been an Alabama fan since I was 3, longer than I've been a fan of any other team. So, yeah, I mean, that if you want to use that logic, then yeah, I'm just an Alabama fan. And obviously that wouldn't be an issue for me because I do love Alabama and I love, the football team and the basketball team as well. I mean, even when Alabama basketball was bad, I still watched them. But I mean, the issue is I don't live in Alabama, I don't. Like, I got a lot of family there, but I don't live there. I live in North Carolina. So, I mean, Carolina is always, been a team that I've supported because of the fact that it's my in-state team. Indiana, like I said, I've been watching them since 2015, 2016. And Jackson knows well as anybody that I was watching even when they were 3-9 and they were horrible. So it's just, again, if you want to say, if I had to tell you right now of all the teams that I like, which one that I am the most, supportive and loyal to, it is Alabama. I mean, Carolina and Indiana is mixed because I can't say that I like Indiana more than Carolina because I've been watching Carolina longer and it's in the state that I'm in, but I do like Indiana just for whatever reason. So, I mean, it's definitely self-explanatory, but I don't know.
But I will say though, if you want to check out top-notch content on Twitter/X, or as our friend John D'Animo calls it, Twits, come on in and check out the Voice of College Football on X, where you can get top-notch discussion, debate, and analysis with no off-season. And I can tell you right now, it's always fun, especially when you can check out the disputed national champions college football's historical 1990s reset from Mark Rogers himself. And you can see plenty of content, especially like what TJ and John have going on Michigan at the Voice of College Football, what Mark has going on in his latest adventures, the top 10 Week 11 matchups. Holy cow. I mean, this looks pretty good, but I mean,
See, I like that right there. You got Bama, LSU at the top, the Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
Indiana at number 3. There we go.
Oh, yeah. That is for sure. And, the slate didn't look so good this week, so it's like,
it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, Clemson at Virginia Tech can be a good game. BYU, Utah, it's the holy war. Miami, Georgia Tech.
And it's the first time since 2010 that it's a conference game, and they're back since 2021.
And Miami, Georgia Tech, it's a rematch of the blunder, that Mario Cristobal had against Georgia Tech. I mean, decent games. I mean, not, a ton of just headline games, but even Colorado, Texas Tech, it's a good game. It's a good game. And I mean, Florida, Texas would be better if Lagway was healthy. And Washington at Penn State, if that game was at Washington, oh boy, that'd be fun.
Well,
so, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad week.
Well, Texas, Florida is basically in the top 10, basically because of the headlines, like what happens with Billy Napier, Texas playoff hopes.
Well, Billy Napier's job's safe. That's already been confirmed. He's
that's
good.
True.
They just announced today that he's not. He's being retained, and the only reason they did that is because they don't want to lose the players they have. That's it. I mean, because he's recruited all these 5-star, and 4-star sophomore and freshmen to Florida, and if they fire Napier, those guys are gone. Now, the funny thing is those guys could be gone anyway if they really. Ripstar, I cover college football, man. If you I don't know if you've ever seen my channel Only Talk Sports, but I cover everybody, and I don't show bias over there, hardly ever. So I cover all teams. But the thing is, though, is that definitely Florida wants to keep those players. They might leave anyway, but they want to keep those guys, so they're retaining Napier. It's probably a smart move. I mean, honestly, I don't think Billy Napier's done bad. I mean, how are you supposed to win a lot of games with what he's had to deal with? I mean, Mertz goes down, then you lose Lagway, and you've had this tough schedule. Funny thing about it is, Ripstar, is I know a lot of people that actually have tons of hats. I actually do have more hats than the teams that I really like, by the way. More actually, a lot of people have tons of hats. I mean, because I had a family member go to ECU, so I do have an ECU hat. So I mean, like, do I really watch or root for ECU sports? No, but I do have an ECU hat. I got tons of different. I think I got like at least 10 to 12 different teams. So I mean, it's like, but I'm not like a massive fan at all of any of those teams. I just have them, like it's as though. Because I mean, you have a Wisconsin sweater. Like you're not a Wisconsin fan, but you got a Wisconsin sweater. I mean, like you gotta wear it, right? You got it. You remember? Didn't you say because you saw when I had the Memphis shirt on? I had a Memphis shirt on. Like, come on, like so. I mean, I got different. Sean Garner's the Jeffrey's millions of frequent customer points at lids. Well, the thing is, some of them are gifts. Some of them have been gifts. Yep. I mean, I wouldn't even have them if they weren't gifts. So, I mean, like, I'm not going to not wear them, Like, I got to wear them. So, but, give me a Colorado hat, Austin. Then I might wear one, right? You're good. You're good.
But I will tell you, though, before we go, we'd like to tell everybody to come on in and like, comment, subscribe to Alabama with the Voice of College Football. Let's get it to 3,000 subs. What are you doing to help dominate the SEC? Let's help get it to 3,000 subs, 4,000, 5,000, much more. Like, comment, subscribe. Click on the notification bell so you do not miss another video whatsoever. We are 55 subs away from getting to 2,500. Let's get there. And the invite to the YouTube membership is in the chat. So come on in and become a YouTube member of Alabama with the Voice of College Football, where you can get the best of the best.
And don't forget either to check out Jackson's channel as well, where he's making amazing content over there. It has tons of different interviews with tons of different sports, guys around the country, whether, like media members or just different personalities all across the board. And he does a great job over there. So definitely follow him on YouTube. He's trying to get to 500 subscribers, doing a great job. And also, you can't forget about my social media as well. I got a Twitter account. Jackson does as well, so you want to follow him over there. But I got an X account, as they call it now. If you want to follow me over there, I would appreciate it. But my YouTube channel only talks sports, where I talk sports every single day, or at least I try to.
There you go.
And I talk college football,
get it trademarked.
NFL, NBA, college basketball. Talk about a bunch of different sports. You're not going to want to miss any of it if you like any of those sports, which I'm sure a lot of you guys do. And definitely content's coming down the way. I even do live streams sometimes for games as well, especially college basketball and NBA every now and then. So you're not going to want to miss that. And you can follow me on Rumble. I got a Rumble account just because. So definitely would appreciate if you guys go check it out over there. But definitely, like Jackson said, subscribe to the Alabama, the Voice of College Football. Trying to get it to 3,000 subs. Trying to get my channel to 3,000 subs and Jackson's to 500 subs. So definitely and the Indiana channel. Can't forget about that either. I am the host of the Indiana channel, the Voice of College Football. We're close to 70 subs over there. So trying to build that community as well. So doing a lot of content on a lot of different teams and sports around the land. So definitely you're not going to want to miss it.
For sure. And you can also check out my latest episode, The Jacksonian, with Carter Bryant, the host of Power Hour SEC, Power Hour LSU, Power Hour NFL, a very good friend of the Voice College Football Network, as he joins me to discuss a little bit about Alabama, LSU, the New Orleans Saints and their coaching carousel issues. And we talk a little bit about how Major League Baseball is not the same without Derek Jeter. We even talk a little bit about that. I mean, ironic, right? It's pretty fun. But I can tell you right now, it's a fun show. We talk a little bit about Billy Napier and Sam Pittman as well. And let me tell you something. It's a wild ride. 45 more episodes to episode 100. And pretty soon we'll get to a point where there's like 500 episodes, 1,000 episodes, 10,000. There's going to be a lot of stuff I've got heading your way. And I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a fun one. You're going to see plenty of people, that I can guarantee. No, we don't. Sorry. This isn't the channel for that. But yeah, so it's like we kind of just stay away from Taylor Swift. We stay away from discussing about politics, religion, and we don't even allow debates of the Great Pumpkin on this channel. Sorry.
The Great Pumpkin.
I mean,
No,
it's
man,
like people-
I still not. Every year I watch that and seeing Linus' face. There he is.
It's
There
a
he
great
is.
pumpkin!
It's a great
Send
pumpkin.
them with his pumpkin patch! Oh my god!
And then when he's on the ground, he's like, "Did I faint? What did he leave
Did he
us?
leave us?
I've been
Did
robbed.
he leave us any toys?
I've been robbed. I'll sue." And then you got Linus talking to Charlie Brown. He's like, "You ever heard fearing a woman scorn, haven't you?" "Yeah, I guess I have."
Yep.
It's so good.
Oh,
It's so good. There's
pumpkin,
no
where
cartoon
are
like
you?
that anymore, man. It's so good.
Oh man. Oh, great pumpkin, where are you? But we do say,
If he comes, I mean, when he comes, one little slip like that will make the great pumpkin pass you by. Oh, great
Oh,
pumpkin,
boy.
where are you?
well, our
So
slogan
good, man.
is, "Oh, voice of college football bets, where are you?" Well, we have a message from Mark Rogers to end the show. And to that, we bid you all a good night and to sleep well, stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
College
And
football is even more exciting.
Roll Tide.
There we go. Roll Tide, everybody.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.